What's the most "are you really that stupid" thing you've ever heard? I knew a couple in my hometown. They were both out drinking and he decided to drive them home. Both drunk. He gets pulled over and they impound the car and take him to jail for a DUI, and the officers decide to drive the girl home. She gets home, gets in her car, and drives to the police station to pick her boyfriend up. The officers notice it's the same girl they just drove home and they arrested her for drinking and driving. Edit. Thanks for the gold. To further add to this story, my hometown, within the county, was ranked top 10 for least educated counties in CA. To give everybody an idea. Edit 2. Tula County. Edit 3. One girl's stupid drunkenness is another man's Reddit gold. Thanks for the second gold. This middle-aged woman I work with at a fast food place was drinking a glass of super sweet tea when these words came out of her mouth. "My doctor said that I may have diabetes. I don't understand how. I never eat sugar." I actually just posted about this a couple days ago. My grandpa's cleaning lady was making fun of me for believing that the ozone layer exists. She laughed out loud at me and said, "Then how do the rockets take off from Earth without crashing into it?" and continue to laugh and make fun of me for it for a good 10 minutes straight. I was so baffled that I just let her go on. Edit. Holy heck. Former co-worker of mine and I were walking through a department store during the holidays. There's an area dedicated to ugly sweaters and one had the Star of David all over it. My co-worker points to it and says, "Oh, isn't that sweater for that Jewish holiday? What's it called? Holocaust?" I wish her the best. I had a customer yell at me that their donuts were supposed to be buy one get one free instead of half price. I had to explain how 1/2 plus 1/2 was 1. Never understood it and just sneered whatever at me and had me cancel their order. When I worked at a chemical facility, we had a genius production supervisor who figured out that you could increase the RPMs of the mixer without overheating the batch if you just remove the mixing blade. So it's just a shaft rotating inside a drum of viscous liquid. Then he blamed the guy running the QA testing, me, when the batch failed badly. My family and I were watching a program on TLC about cavemen. There were actors dressed up like cavemen, doing cavemen things. As the narrator explained the scientific theory around what they thought their lives were like, my sister was just in awe watching this, mouth slightly open, eyes open wide. During a commercial break she asked the room, "How did they get the cameras back there?" We will never let her forget that she said that. Edit. Here's some common answers for questions people have asked. No, she was not high. She was about 16 when she said this. The moment she said it, she knew she said something stupid. Tried to backpedal but the damage was already done. Yes, back a long time ago TLC actually did have educational programming. I have no idea what documentary it was. Explaining to co-worker that Africa is a huge continent with dozens of countries. And no, you can't drive there from America. Girl at uni didn't know chips were made from potatoes. When asked if the huge potatoes on the bags didn't give it away, she said she thought it's only for design and she never reads the ingredients list. She doesn't have time for that. Phone customer, "Can I pay with cash over the phone?" Me. Edit. This was more than 10 years ago. Before cryptocurrency existed. I was working at a call center, making reservations for a dinner and show type place. If they reserved online or over the phone, they had to prepay. I asked this customer if I heard them correctly and she verified that yes, she would like to pay with cash over the phone. There was nothing but seriousness in her tone. I informed her she could pay with cash at the box office. However, over the phone I could only accept a credit card. I did not laugh at her or make her feel stupid, but inside I was dying. Someone once asked me and my twin sister if we don't mistake ourselves for the other one. I like to think she was joking, but I don't think she was. A surprising amount of people in my life have thought that ham came from its own animal and had nothing to do with pigs. At least 2 of those people had this conversation while eating a ham sandwich after claiming not to eat pork. Edit. To everyone telling me that they make ham out of turkey. 2. These people thought there was some mystical animal out there that solely produced ham. Edit 2. "K, I'm done now. Replies are turned off." During a color war trivia game at summer camp, we were asked to name places the Olympics has been held. Someone mentioned Athens and the girl next to me started to lose her mind laughing. I asked her why and she responded, "Isn't Athens that place from Harry Potter? 10/10. Edit. I love that this turned into a Greek economy discussion thread. The internet works in mysterious ways. Me while watching a semi-friend do 10 separate ATM transactions. Why are you taking out $200 from the ATM in $20 increments? You are just adding up the $2.50 fee. Semi-friend, it all adds up in the long run. Me, know it. It adds up to you wasting money. Semi-friend, no. Trust me, it adds up. Biological mom of our former foster son talking to his court-appointed lawyer, guardian ad litem. He doesn't need to go to the doctor. All babies get ear infections. She had zero idea that he could suffer from hearing loss if she ignored him enough times. Not to mention how miserable he felt. I don't even know how to begin. Here we go. I was a camp counselor for many years and periodically during the winter we would meet up for drinks, dinner to catch up. So I'm out to dinner with two girls I used to be on staff with and it's raining pretty hard outside. Relevant info. And one of the girls who is staring outside looks back at us and says, "Isn't it amazing that it's raining around the world right now? I mean, like, it's raining in Rome right now," or something along those lines. It's important to note that we were nowhere ducking near Rome, and no way she somehow checked the weather in Rome before she came to meet us. My other friend probed her for more info in order to try to grasp what was happening, and it became apparent she literally thought that when it rained in one place, it rained around the globe simultaneously. It's mind-boggling. Local weather stations. Nope, never heard of it. Different climates. Hell no. I lost contact with the weather goddess a few years ago, but I still see my other friend a couple times a year. No matter what the weather is. He referenced this quote. Edit. I hope it's raining gold on everybody out here because I just got my first. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Thanks. Side note, we all have a lot of questions. Do I have the answers? No. But I do know that this girl ended up dating a member of a very popular band. Very popular. So I can't disclose her info because I think it would ruin her. This blew up way too hard. Well done, team. Side note, I sent this to the other friend who was at the dinner, and that I still keep in contact with, and she is dead. She tells the story way better than I can in person, but I tried my best. I just glanced out my window and there is a light snow coming down. Bundle up, everybody. Someone in high school thought she couldn't get pregnant because she never did anal. Only PIV 6. When questioned about it, it made perfect sense to her, because the V isn't where the babies come from. She thought women pooped out babies. I was on a school trip to Germany and we visited the casino in Baden-Baden. One kid asked, "Do the Native Americans run the casinos here too?" I almost fell over. Edit. I've seen a lot of people ask why our school trip went to a casino. We just visited it during the day as a part of our day in Baden-Baden because of its historical significance. Since it was during the day, there were no games being played and it was a guided tour. None of the kids gambled. My friend thought due to time zone differences between the US and the UK you could place a bet in the UK on an NFL game that had happened in the US and cheat the system because it hadn't happened yet in the UK. Do girls in your country get their periods? When I was in the army, I had a soldier that was a very good human being, but was in no way, shape, or form a good fit for the military. He was clumsy, unathletic. Watching him try to dribble a basketball was like watching Squidward try to dribble a basketball, and generally aloof. I tried to get people in my team to teach classes to the rest of the team. I found it helped them build confidence in their skills and taught everybody else stuff they might not know as well. So it was win-win. For example, I had one person teach basic first aid. I had my saw gunner go over tearing his gun apart and cleaning it, and putting it back together, etc. Basic stuff like that. I asked this private what he wanted to teach, and he's like, "I don't really know, Sergeant." I asked what he's good at and he was like, "History, or I could do hacky sack." Again, a good guy, just aloof. And he said the dumbest thing I've ever ducking heard in my life. And I once convinced another guy in the army that the Louisiana Purchase went bad and he was going to be French at the end of the month. That's another story though. Back to Squidward. We had a dress uniform inspection every month. You'd get your Class A uniform ready, clean and pressed, medals on, brass polished, etc. Go outside in formation, wear it for about 15 minutes, and then do the whole thing over again the next month. The night before the inspection, I walked through my soldiers' rooms and inspected their uniform to make sure everything was in order and nothing was missing. I had to take another guy to an appointment 3 hours away. We were in South Korea that morning, and 10 minutes before the inspection is supposed to begin, I get a phone call from Squidward and he drops this ducking bomb on me. "Sergeant, my pants don't work." "What the hell are you talking about? How do they not work? I can't close them. Did you get fat this month? I saw you wearing them last month. I saw you wear pants yesterday. What exactly is the problem?" "They're not working. I can't get them closed and I think my dry cleaner sewed my pockets upside down." "Hold up. Your pockets are upside down? Are your pants inside out?" "I don't think so, Sergeant. I'm not that dumb. Humor me and check. Not inside out. I told you." "Okay. Try putting your hands in your pockets and pushing them all the way down." "Should I take the stuff out of them?" "Please do." "Whoa, Sergeant. It worked. My pants work again. I have to go. Inspection and all. I'm aware." Dude's pockets flipped upside down to the inside of his waistband and he had them so full of it that he couldn't close his pants. He was 21 years old. I'm still absolutely in awe that the army saw fit to give him a grenade launcher. I work at an animal shelter and a woman asked me if we had any dogs that didn't poop. I told her no. All dogs poop. So she asked about cats. A few years ago I was traveling in Kenya and a few of us shelled out for a safari. Our guide was great and at one point said all the names for the animals in Swahili. Simba is lion, for example. An American then asked, "Did you always call them that? Or did you decide to change it after The Lion King came out?" I really wanted to apologize to the tour guide in that moment who had to respond with respect to that guy. Edit. Yes, I'm sure he wasn't joking. Employee looking in box where we kept the name tags. Which one is my name tag? Guy at my high school asked a biology teacher if humans photosynthesize. When told that we don't, he responded, "But how come when I go in the sun my skin turns brown?" He was 18. In my communications class in high school, it came to my teacher's attention that a few people in the class, which had about 15 students, didn't have a basic grasp of world geography. So he pulled up an interactive world map on his computer and connected it to the projector. "Okay, so this is where we are. This is..." Class responds with North America. "Okay, and down here?" Cursor is hovering over South America. Two girls expressed confusion over what it was. So he told them it was South America. Next, he moved the cursor over Africa. And both of these girls, in unison, with full confidence blurted out East America. Later in the lesson one of the girls said that she thought North Korea was in the center of the US. And that's why we have so many problems with them. My main concern was that I was in the same school district as them for all 12 years. And I wondered how the same system that worked for me had completely failed to work for them. While in a really long car trip with my parents, we were discussing countries we'd like to visit. My mother said she'd like to visit Japan to see the Great Wall of China. My dad and I don't let her forget. World history class in high school. This girl really asked how we won the American Revolution when the Germans had airplanes. I had to remember to breathe. My wife was telling her sorority sisters about how she was allergic to wheat. One of the girls responded with, "Why don't you just eat white bread instead then?" What do you think it's made of? White? Blowing balloons up with my own air. No gas etc. with my wife prior to a party. Wife, no. Don't blow the balloons that fall to the floor. Blow up the floating balloons. Me more than look of disbelief as than what? You need to use helium for that? Wife, no, you're just not bothering. That's what it is. There's always a 50% chance of rain. Think about it. It will either rain or it won't, so that's gotta always be 50%. When I was in high school history class, this dumb as a brick girl asked our teacher, who was from the south, but we weren't even remotely close to the south, still no excuse, if she'd ever owned a slave. Watching Dynasties, British Attenborough documentary featuring chimps. Attenborough introduces the alpha male chimp on screen as David. Friend asks how they know he's called David. Edit. Thank you kind stranger. My first gold. I'd like to dedicate this shiny nugget to David. RIP my dude. You will never know how much you meant to us. David the chimp, not David Attenborough. Dynasties is on in the UK on BBC Sunday evenings, where Attenborough truly belongs. The natural order of things. Americans. Don't know when you can see it, but I assume if you have a VPN you can watch it via the BBC iPlayer website. I remember sitting in a World Civ class in high school and a girl in my class asked how people outside of the US lived, since they were in a desert. The teacher tried to have her clarify, which desert, to which the girl responded with, the one outside the US. She was convinced that every single nation outside of the US was comprised solely of deserts and that any major cities she had heard of, that is, London, Paris, etc., were actually US cities. A woman once asked me if Antarctica was really hot, because Mexico is south of us and it's really hot, and other countries are south of us and they're really hot too. This woman was 40 years old. A previous co-worker of mine thought that when looking at images of hurricanes, what she was seeing was the ocean swirling and not clouds. She had a bachelor's degree. Unfortunately, it came from my mouth as a teenager. Me, looking at construction site, I wonder what's going in there? Mom, it's going to be a Maya, like a Walmart. It will take 150 people to open the doors. Me, amazed. Me, still amazed. Me, amazed now confused. Me, how big are the doors? Teacher in middle school was playing a cassette tape for the class that was a bit distorted, so she attempted to improve the audio by, adjusting the antenna. A girl on my bus in high school always had to be the center of attention. We were on our way to a field trip somewhere. I don't really remember where, but she all of a sudden proudly screamed out, "My boyfriend gave me ear 6 last night." When someone finally asked her what she thought ear 6 was, her answer was, "We stuck Q-tips in our ears and moaned for a couple hours." Maybe not the actual dumbest thing I've ever heard, but definitely the one that sticks out for me. Worked with someone who would say it's Friday somewhere, unironically on Tuesdays. Edit. Since this is being brought up, we had MF shifts only at the time, which the co-worker was working. So this wasn't a situation where they were talking about a shortened week or having Tuesday as their own personal Friday. When I worked at a call center and someone said Q for cucumber to me. While discussing taking a girls trip and going on a cruise, my friend once said, "I think it would be pretty easy. We could just get a cruise out of Dallas." Everyone paused. Her husband then broke the silence with, "That is our marriage summed up into one sentence." I was driving with my mother on a pitch black night. My mother said the stars weren't out because there was no moon for them to reflect off of. Love you, Mom. Okay, so there was this mother that I once met. I'll call her Karen. So Karen is your typical MLM mom. She's in like 3 of them, including an essential oil one. One day, her son gets sick. Instead of getting cold medicine or whatever, she feeds him essential oils. Of course, he gets sicker, so the school he goes to treats him right. After hearing about this, his mom said, and I quote, "Don't give him that. The big pharma chemicals will make him immune to the essential oils." At 17 years old, I assumed this girl couldn't be that dumb. But honestly, the she said made me think she should be watered once a day. Some of the best included, solar panels won't work in space cause there's no sunlight out there. Copper smells like a wet muffin. If you stood under a really strong waterfall, would you erode or would the water just move out of the way? Girl I used to date was convinced that used cars came with insurance. We went out to look at cars for her one weekend, and on the way to the first lot, it came up in conversation. She absolutely did not believe me to the point that it was almost an argument. Salesman told her the same thing, so she demanded we go to another dealership. We visited 4 dealerships that day and all of them told her the same thing. Relationship didn't last much longer, but earlier this year she was pulled over and arrested for a litany of offenses including a DUI. But surprise, she had no auto insurance. Why do I have to clean the oven if it just gets dirty again? Thanks for the PMs. Less than 3. I was explaining to my mother-in-law that the reason why my hubby and I were having fertility issues was that I don't ovulate properly, aka don't release an egg. She thought about it for a moment and asked with all seriousness why we couldn't just use one of my husband's eggs. I just looked at my husband trying not to laugh and stated that only women have eggs and men have sperm. That is pretty basic biology. From a customer, how do you type a capital for? I once heard a girl say that she doesn't believe in miscarriages. Edit. Another good one is that if she asks is something gluten free, she asks is that gluten? Meaning the exact opposite. She also said she is going to become a Navy SEAL. She is not in the Navy. We were out of state and she said, oh wow. Wild cows. They were not wild cows. In Wales, we get the option to use an ATM machine in either Welsh or English. Myself, a Welsh friend and an English friend were at an ATM. My English friend asked my Welsh friend why he always used the ATM in Welsh. His response was less people can understand Welsh, so less people can read my PIN number. Till it seems like only the Welsh say ATM machine and PIN number. And yes, I'm an idiot for saying less rather than fewer, so sue me. I knew a guy in high school who thought, in Asian women only, that the urethra, V, and anus were arranged horizontally. Something like, leg more than urethra more than V more than anus more than leg. He was stunned when we went over female anatomy during our senior year. Where's Saudi Arabia on this map? Map of Africa. Where's Jamaica then? Still the map of Africa. I play basketball and this one day we got talking about shooting percentages. So this one kid would try to convince us all that when you would shoot 0 shots and obviously make 0, you shot 100% because you didn't miss. He started this like 2 years ago and still when people bring it up he says he's right. My friend wrote on the title page of his high school essay, yeah, sound it out. Edit. Some background. It was in the hallway before class started that I noticed it in his hand. Probably stared for a good 10 seconds trying to figure out what it meant. Then it hit me. Like a good friend, I stayed silent and let him hand it in.